All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. And I'll start the meeting with acknowledging that we're on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Native people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. And with that, we'll go to the adoption of the agenda. Any additions? I do have one, and it'll be under 17.1, which would be section 17, which is personnel. Section 17 of the FOIP that we'll be discussing personnel. So with that one addition, anybody want to move the agenda? Councilor Wakefield.
As amended. No, that's forward.
All right, all in favor? It is carried. So moving on to public delegations. I'll open the floor. I want to welcome everybody for coming. It's great to see people again. We have the public delegations. If anybody would like to speak, you have 5 minutes to address council. All right. And just as a reminder, I know you know the routine, but just say your name for the people on internet land. They know who you are because you're being recorded.
Okay, so my name is Lori McKay, and I'm actually...
Oh, and one other addition, just a quick summary of what you wanted to speak on. So
which
that
is
we
what I
can
was going to do.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm actually making the question that I have. It actually comes from my husband. It has to do with the criminal background check, the policy. The question was given by him a couple meetings ago, and we want to know what the answer is. What's the policy for criminal background checks? Whatever, it's been long enough, there should be a response back.
Sure, I can answer that because we looked into it. The town does not have a formal criminal record check policy. However, we do have past practice where we've been asking new hires to get a criminal record check done. So that's been, in a nutshell, that's what it is.
So if I'm clear, it's only done for new hires and not repeated on a regular basis thereafter?
That's correct. We are looking, we've been discussing that and really want to beef up that policy, and we're going to be looking at it, but at this point in time, that's where it's at.
So as my recommendation, should be done regularly, perhaps every year, perhaps every other year at most. Okay, that's all, thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Any other? Come on up.
My name is Lindsay Pratt. Push the button.
Yeah, push the button.
My name is Lindsay Pratt. I just have a comment to council. We got a lot of feedback in the community. There's been lots of things going around about the hospital parking, the hospital land. I'd just like to thank council for not purchasing the land and allowing the people that develop property properly to do it. We should be tremendously excited that somebody paid supposedly that much money for property in our community, and we should be tremendously excited that they're coming in here. So if and when we do find out who it is, just pass on from the regular citizens of High Prairie that we are so excited that they're coming to our community. So just a comment. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you for that.
My name is Linda Cox. I was the former mayor of High Prairie. I was involved in the discussions with Alberta Health Services regarding the land of the old hospital and what was going to happen to it. There are two councillors on here that were also involved in that discussion, Councillor Danaka and Councillor Panasic. At no time was that land ever going to be developed. The intent for the 4 years that I worked on it, and Councillor Danaka and Mayor Brian Panasic also agreed, and no time ever did they express that they did not want this land. It was not a real estate development, as John Dunn has referred to it as. It was for the community and the region of this town. We have lost so much of our green space area, with the Buchanan Center taking over the school quarter, the fire hall taking over the school quarter, the addition to this town office taking over the school quarter. The school quarter is reserved for recreation facilities for the town. It is in law that municipalities must have a school quarter designated for recreation. And every time that we have developed a skate park, the rationale is that we are going to use this for the benefit of the community. Well, now we have a ditzy little playground space, and that is our last hope of recreation in the community. So when the hospital land was available to us, we fought for this because we needed green space in this town. It was also going to be used for a splash park, a community garden, an elders recreation. We had so many plans for this, but it all hinged on the town receiving the land back. After Alberta Health Services did the remediation, and it's over $1 million of remediation, did you really think as a councillor that we're going to receive that land for $1? That was the initial premise, that we would try and work with $1. But at no time was that ever really going to be an option. So to get it for $148,000, that is what the community is upset about, that you have taken the opportunity for green space in this community and said, oh, no, it was always for development. Never, ever intended for development. And Councillor Danaka, you know that. So I don't know why you would say, I always was against it. You were not always against it. You sat in on many, many meetings and never expressed the fact that this land should be going outside of our community. And also, Mayor Panasic, you knew that too. So when you spoke about, well, we don't want the land, did you ever say, no, the former council wanted this land for the community and the region?
I can answer that and say, yes, as a council, we really discussed that and whether we wanted the land for green space or whether we wanted to leave it for development and whether we should be buying it or not buying it. It was a lengthy discussion and this council as a whole said, no, we do not want to buy it.
And I think that that is the short-sightedness of this council, especially when you say, oh, well, we don't do real estate. When you own the Moose building and rent it out, you own the library, you own the development of the Kevin Cox land, you own all this land. And then to say, well, we don't dabble in real estate is quite a stretch. But the other thing is, and this was brought up by Mr. Vandermeulen as the Northern Lakes College when we were trying to get Northern Lakes College to go in on this, was why would you want more commercial land in this town? And actually, no, he wanted more commercial land. And I spoke against that because we have many, many, many business people in town that have empty buildings. Why would we go and say, oh no, we need more development? We can't even use the land that we've got. But it's not recreational land. It's not community land. And you have thrown away the opportunity for 20 acres of good green space. That's what the community is upset about. Not, oh, well, we missed $1.5 million development or whatever. And for regional people to come in and say, well, we're so happy that you didn't do that. You didn't pay the taxes that would be associated with this development. This is a chance to show the people of High Prairie, we do value your input as citizens. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those comments. And anyone else like to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll move on in our agenda then. And we'll start off with the fire chief's report. Can I get a motion on this? Councilor Danaka.
I make a motion to receive the fire chief's March 2024 report for information.
Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to the fire chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple things I'm going to highlight on. You may see the fire department and members doing some water movement exercises in the next little while. As I indicated on my report, we will generally be taking water from a draft source, and the purpose of that is to get people familiar with potential operations. So if you are getting comments that we are using water, we aren't actually using municipal water, we'll be using draft water from another source. I have also posted on social media and kind of been doing a little bit more of a blitz of Fire Smart, burning that's not permitted in town, fire pits, that kind of thing. So I've been doing kind of a social media blitz to try and get people's attention to try and avoid burning in town. I've also made contact with Constable Bloom about one particular property that is a fire risk, and he has followed up on that. So we're trying to look at basically fire risks within the town and the community. I've also had meetings with, for example, the West Fraser Mill manager. Had some discussions with him about things that we can work together on as far as fire risk and fire prevention. Just a couple of other highlights. We had our awards night, and I just posted stuff on Facebook again, advertising that. In all accounts, I think all of our members had a good time, and it was much appreciated. And I submit my report to council. If you have any questions, I'm open to questions.
All right, thank you for that. I'll open the floor for questions. Anyone? Councilor Danaka, then Councilor Waco.
I don't have a question, but I would just like to congratulate you on your awards night. I had a really good time. As well, I would like to congratulate you on your upcoming 30-year anniversary being a member of the High Prairie Fire Department. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It looks exactly the same as he did on day one. Just curious, I see you contacted CN. Not sure when this was put in, but do you have a date when you're going to be burning in front of my house?
I'm still awaiting communications from,
Okay. Thank you.
So on that, if you need perhaps some, I'll call it political weight to maybe help on that, maybe let us know, and I know we can maybe help make some calls or contact CN to help with that if you're not getting a response from them.
I appreciate that, and I will follow up on that, definitely.
All right. Anything else? No? I'll just echo as what was mentioned already is that it was a good awards night, and it was good to see so many of the members out and having a good time. It seems like you got a really good crew working there, so
Yeah.
well done.
I'm very proud of you guys that I have right now, absolutely.
Perfect. All right, thank you. All right, we had a motion to receive his report for information. All in favor? Carried. Moving on then to item 5.1, confirmation of minutes. And we'll start with the March 12th minutes. Can I get a motion on these ones? Councillor Dunn?
The council approved the minutes from the March 12th, 2024 regular meeting of council as presented.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, these were ones that we were looking at previously, and there was some changes. They look like they've been done, and everybody happy with them? All good. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to the March 18th minutes. Can I get a motion on this one? Councillor Shishin.
The council approved the minutes from the March 18th, 2024 special meeting of council as presented.
All right. Any changes or alterations needed? Councillor Danaka, go ahead.
Just basically number 1, meeting called to order at 6 p.m. It should say Deputy Mayor Sasha Martin's called the meeting to order.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the other minutes. We don't really say that anymore. Do we usually say that? Or
This is March 12th.
Oh, it is in the 12th, but it's not on the next meeting minutes on the 23rd. So it's sort of, we change a little bit, but probably should be, I would agree, it should
We
be
should
there
be consistent.
consistently. Yeah, it's there sometimes and not other times. Okay, so I'd like to add that in. Anything else? All right, so we had the motion to move them. Would you move it with that addition?
With the addition that we made, yeah.
All right, all in favor? Carried. Moving on then to the March 23rd. Oh, Councilor Bennett.
Should it be with the amendment, not the addition? Because we're not adding, we're amending the agenda.
I see.
With the amendment, yeah.
Okay, I thought she said with the addition.
Oh, okay.
And I said,
Amendment, okay.
And moving to the March 23rd minutes, get a motion on this. Okay. Yeah, we noticed that we should add on this one the same issue where we should say who the meeting was called to order by. That was the same as the last one. No motion?
So moved with the addition of having you as call the meeting to order.
All right. Any changes needed to these minutes? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Councilor Danaka, did you vote? I didn't see. Yeah, you did, okay, thanks. All right, then moving on to March 26th minutes. The regular meeting of council. How come I don't have those in my package? What's that?
They're at the back, they're at the next.
Oh, okay, there, gotcha. Yep, okay. On page 21, can we get a motion on these ones? Councilor Dunn.
That we accept the minutes from March 26th, 2024 regular meeting of council as presented.
Okay, any alterations needed? All right, all in favor? It is carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, I'll move to item 8. Communication and outreach. Can I get a motion on this one? Councilor Waco.
Council directs administration to retain external assistance to develop a communication action plan.
All right, thank you for that. And any questions on this one? Councilor Stenhouse.
So I've read the background and the discussion on this. So we have a communication policy in place. Why would we not bring it forward and review it? Fix any places where we're lacking, other than hiring an external source to make us a communication plan.
Okay, do you want to?
Sure, yeah, I went through the chairs, a couple rationale as council is experiencing currently. There is a desire by council and the community to enhance communications. Yeah, we have a policy, we have over 65 policies. How they're resourced is a big issue. We can have a policy, but without the resourcing behind it, the policy will be ineffective. So currently that policy is ineffective because we do not have the mechanisms to implement that strategy. So to kickstart it, what is being proposed here is to hire some external assistance to deal with the immediate issues of the day. We have lots of residents and ratepayers in the room tonight. We've had lots over the last 3 or 4 months. There's a backlog of communication strategies and papers that are needed to better engage the community. So there's nothing wrong with the policy. The issue is who's going to be working on it to get it done in a timely manner. So that's why the report's before you today.
Go ahead.
So yeah, so we have heard from a lot of community members, ratepayers, and they have pointed out our weaknesses. So they have brought it forward. So why don't we meet as a council and review that and put it together? So it's directed at our community. They spoke up and said this is what's missing in our communication. So if we get together as a council and put that policy together, it would be what our people are asking for.
I can maybe just weigh in on this a little bit. I think that, yes, we know where some of our issues are, and we've heard that the community wants more communications. But I think we also have an image problem right now. And I think that's something additional that we need to look at also, and how do we work to make sure that the town's image or brand stays as at a high level. And we need to change some of the things that we're doing, and we need to improve some of our policies, but we need to get that information out so people know what we're doing and how we're doing it, so that they realize that council is doing things. We have not been really good, in my opinion, about communicating what we're doing and how we're doing it. So getting some assistance and how we can do that better, where we should be doing that, how we can do it better, I think is a good process. Because I have heard from ratepayers that we need to improve our communications and how it gets out there.
So will we take their suggestions? Or is this going to be up to whoever is hired? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, so again, they have pointed out where we lack in communication. They're the ones who are asking for the information. So is this plan going to reflect their requests?
Well, I think it should. Hey, Councillor Dunn?
Thanks. I think that, when we get together and when they bring their points and what they need to see, that needs to be documented, but the issue is, and from what I'm hearing, is that we don't have the capacity to meet all those needs. So we need a plan that says, where are we gonna hire, who are the people that we're gonna hire, and are they gonna be able to address what the town is saying to us? And so, I mean, we take what the town is saying and we make it a priority, and we look at how do we make this plan work? But right now, that's what we're asking for, is to come together and actually have discussions, and I don't see why the town wouldn't be able to be involved in that.
I think what we're saying is before you jump up and spend a bunch of dollars.
Just so we don't, we don't really want to get everybody engaging in this
No, of course,
conversation. So, I mean, if we want to entertain somebody from the gallery joining in, it's a council vote, according to our procedure. If we do, and if not, we don't, but it could open the door for everybody coming in. So, do we want to take comments from the gallery, and I'll open it up for a vote?
Can we be specific in who speaks?
We could be, yeah.
I will make a motion that we allow Ron Shunter to come and make us aware of his thoughts on this subject.
All right. Okay, all in favor? Okay, so, yeah, come on up to the front and we can hear your thoughts on it.
thanks.
I think all we're suggesting is you call a timeout clause from
Use your mic.
Okay, I think all we're suggesting is that we call a timeout from it, and this just came out in the last day of this request. And we're simply asking that we call a timeout and pause for a minute before we step in and hire somebody or spend some more taxpayer dollars and review some of the requests and some of the concerns expressed more recently with regards to how the council communicates with the community. And I think if you were to dig a little deeper, review it internally, who's doing what, and communicating what, eliminate some of the rework when it comes down to communication, and just do it thoroughly and accurately the first time, you'd avoid a lot of confusion that's come up over the past months. And the easiest one to understand is the hospital deal. Had it been communicated correctly right from the start, we wouldn't be having these discussions a year later. So I'm simply suggesting that we just table it for discussion, hold tight for another meeting, engage the public a little bit, see, because nobody's asked, quite honestly, who or what type of information the community is requesting on a regular basis. And I think that's a valid question. To quickly determine what kind of information moving forward that the community is looking for. And maybe incorporate that into your everyday schedule and plan. If you've got people in place that are communicating out and posting minutes on the website and all that stuff, those people already exist. And it may just be a matter of reviewing what type of information they want to come forward without having to hire somebody. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you for that. So, go back, any other discussion? Councillor Daneka?
Again, I mean, we've talked about communication. It's been on the strategic plan for, I don't know, 2 or 3 reworks of the strategic plan. And I mean, I think we need to make it a priority. Like, we've just sort of been skating along and like, I mean, we need to make it a priority of saying, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is the steps we're going to take to communicate. I mean, I don't necessarily feel that it's rocket science on how you want to get your message out, and I'm not sure having whether it's crisis communication or whatever this is called, communications and outreach, is really gonna serve us when I think Ron has a valid point in terms of this taking a step back and let's get that communication policy out, let's review it and see, okay, we see that these areas are weak, how can we improve this? How can we improve this? How can we improve this area without necessarily having to hire somebody to tell us, well, you need to improve this area, and this area. Where we've looked at it and said, yeah, okay, we know where we have to improve.
All right. Councillor Martins, then Councillor Dunn.
Thank you. So question is, what are the outcomes we're looking for? What is the timeline by which we're looking for these set outcomes? And what is the proposed budget to retain something like this? Along with Councillor Danaka, also, there's a learning curve from someone coming in from the outside to learn all of our issues. And so my first question is, what are the outcomes? What tactically or specifically are we looking to communicate? Is it just our stuff that goes into our newsletter? Is it just, what is it that we're looking to communicate? Like, what specifically? That's my first question.
You want to take that?
Again, through the chair, based on the feedback I have from council members, there seems to be a sense of urgency to deal with some of the immediate issues. And the intent of this individual is not to review our current policies or practices, is to develop content to provide information that the residents are asking. So in terms of internal capacity, yes, we have someone that takes minutes and reflects that and publishes a newsletter, but that is not strategic enough. The issues that the ratepayers are talking about are big picture items that require greater knowledge, writing skills, engagement strategies to deal effectively with communicating not only out to the public, but also saying to the public some of the information that's out there is not the town's position. So I appreciate the residents coming in and saying what their positions are. But in some cases, not all the information is readily available, mainly when in-camera items are being discussed at a council meeting. If we can get ahead of the curve and look at how we can communicate better and what are the better ways to engage the public, that's what this individual would be doing. So we can sit down and review the policy and come up with it. But at the end of the day, to make a change, we need additional resources targeted in that area. And we don't have those resources internally.
So this would not be an employee of the town, this would be a contractor?
Correct.
Councillor Dunn?
Do we have a list of what the town has said? Do we have a really clear understanding of what the town feedback is, what they've said around our communication? Are we aware of where they feel we've let them down? And are we aware of where they feel we've done a good job?
I'll maybe answer a little bit. We hear where we haven't done a good job, and don't often hear where we have done a good job. So yeah, I think that's what I've heard a lot of. I guess the other thing that I'd like to, add to the discussion is that there's you know, how do you respond when misinformation is out there? Who should, you know, how do you respond? Should it, you know, should we be putting things on social media? If you put things on social media, you get people responding to it and maybe attacking it. And, you know, do you put things into the paper and, you know, or how do you get the message out there? That's more what I would see from this person to help us know how to get the message out in a manner that people would receive it and it's going to be received well and not attacked, or, you know, in some way, shapes, or form, or misinterpreted.
I guess my thinking, sorry, Teresa. I think my thinking on that though is we're setting him up or her up to fail by just bringing them in when we are hearing from the community, and then we bring a professional in and they create their program, what they know because of their education, their past experience and that kind of stuff. And we set them up to then get the backbite from our community because they do things their way and they haven't listened to the community. So it's a bit of a struggle, right? And I guess for me, I'd like to see a list of from residents that are incorporated into any strategy that we create. You know, and I'm not against bringing a person in to do that, but let's make sure they understand where, you know, what a community is saying and what the issues have been in our community from the past and how they feel what they feel they need to hear from us and where and when. That's my thinking on that.
All right. Shishin?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it's important that we do it now, for us to meet and to discuss and meet and discuss. We'll be a long ways down the line, so I think it's important that we do it now. We listen to what has been said, take what has been said and get expert advice to be able to get that communication properly out there in a proper manner. And I think that's really number one. But most important is that we do something, that it is done now.
All right. Anyone else want to speak on this? Oh,
No, I'm formulating a thought.
go ahead, Councilor Martin.
Thank you. So again, back to my original comment, I'd like to see a defined scope of work to see, you know, what the parameters are, what we expect as outcomes, and a budget before just kind of carte blanche. I'd like to see what kind of proposed budget we have for this and timelines, you know, without outcomes and scope of work. This is just an open, nebulous, some consultation person is going to come in and, you know, is this a 6-month effort? Is this a 1 month effort? Is it a 1 year effort? And what are we spending on this? 10 grand, 50 grand, or 5 grand? I mean, those are my questions. Before I'm ready to vote on this, I'd like to see that before I give this support.
Okay, Councilor Wakel.
I didn't know where to start with it. Do you all hear me with the SAS, or is it? Don't want to blow anything out there. Good points around the table from everybody. I would like to see, we need something like this, I do believe, but as Councilor Martin said, I'd like to see a little bit more detail as to the goals and the budget and all those things. So is this, I mean, I made the motion and everything, is this one that we can table this until the next meeting and just come back with that information? Or what's the protocol on that?
Yes, we could defer this to the next meeting. That would be something that we could do.
They just have a little bit more information. As Councilor Martin said, there a defined role, a little bit more, some goals, stuff like that. And the communication policy that we do have, and have that in front of us, so we can see where are we failing, what's happening, right? Because clearly, we are. So, yeah, that's my motion. Can I say that we should table it? Or what's the protocol?
It would be deferring this to the next meeting versus tabling.
Okay, yeah, because I know we use these terms
Yeah.
wrong. Then, I'd like to defer this to the next, council meeting for more information.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this? So you've changed your motion? Yeah.
Yes, to
Okay.
defer it to the next council meeting.
Okay. But we had one motion, but you made it, and you're withdrawing that and changing it to this new.
Well, let me see, are you okay with it? Yeah, so we can start.
Okay.
I'm not even sorry.
What was my thought? Oh, one addition, when coming back with a defined scope of work, a budget, a timeline, can we have a point or something in there where there's a mechanism by which we consider how we engage the public? Because ultimately, we're doing this for the community, right? So we shouldn't in a vacuum decide the 5 of us or 6 of us, or 7 of us. We've done that for 2 years and we're being asked that the public is consulted or engaged. So let's have a mechanism in there by which we have some protocol to reasonably understand what the public is looking for, in what ways they wish to be communicated, etc. I think that would just set us up for success right from the onset, as opposed to having to retweak, retool, and reconfigure afterward.
Did you have a comment?
I believe that would be things that we would put in the scope of the work.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on Councillor Wakel's motion before we vote on it?
Yes.
The motion is to defer this to our next council meeting and to define the scope of the work and some costs better, right? No other discussions, all in favor? It's carried. Moving on to item number 9, the budget adoption. Can I get a motion on this? No, we'll just start, start with one. Who's making this? Did somebody have their hand up and I missed it? Councillor Dunn, sorry.
That 2024 operating budget in the amount of $12,272,641 as detailed in Appendix A be approved. That the transfers from reserves and contributions to reserves as detailed in Appendix B be approved. That the 2024 capital budget and funding sources in the amount of $6,317,500 as detailed in Appendix C be approved.
Okay, thank you for that. That is a lot. If we need to, we could separate them, but we'll sort of start with the first one and see if there's any issues with council approving the operating budget in the amount of $12,272,000. Any discussions on that one? Councillor Stenhouse?
Can we get some clarification? We've had numerous budget meetings and voted and passed and voted and passed.
Excuse me, Mayor, we have to have people speak up. We just cannot hear you. Okay? Thank you.
I'm looking for clarification because we've had multiple meetings on these and we voted. and they passed, so why are we voting again?
Okay,
Through the chair, I'll address that issue. That is correct. Over the last 5 budget meetings, there's been a series of motions. I don't know exactly how many, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 motions. What this is doing is putting it into a document that consolidates it all in one position. So yes, it is a bit repetitive that this has already been approved, but even in the minutes that were approved tonight, it doesn't reflect this table. It was a table that was amended by motions at that previous budget meeting. So what this is doing is putting it into a totality in one package. It's going to be easier for the auditors to refer to it. It's easier for the public to refer to it. It's consolidated. It highlights the process that council did during the budget deliberations. It highlights other things that the financial coordinator will be discussing, and it provides sort of an executive summary and summarizes those 5 budget deliberation meetings into one document. So it's good practice to do that. We had a debate at the budget deliberations whether we were going to do it and bring forth a recommended budget, which is what's before you tonight, or do it through a series of 60 to 80 motions. That becomes cumbersome because it's not packaged correctly from a tracking perspective. So this would be if the auditors say, where's your final budget adoption? This would serve as that final budget adoption, and it has all the necessary requirements that the auditors would be seeking, rather than pulling out numerous motions.
all right, any other questions on this, or did that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay. All right, I don't see any other questions on this first item, so I'm going to assume that we'll move then to the transfers, again, very similar to before, and, well, I guess did you have anything to add to this, or? Oh, sorry.
Perhaps I could, through the chair of the financial coordinator, just provide an overview. I know she's prepared some notes.
Sure. Yeah.
So what you have in front of you is the consolidated report, which incorporates all 2024 priorities, directions, and motions of council from the 5 budget meetings and deliberations that are listed on the RFP. Administration and council have worked diligently to manage expenses and will continue to develop and focus on strategies to manage the impacts of the ongoing financial pressures facing the town. Council's past practices and prudent financial planning have positioned the town well. The town has not experienced an operating budget deficit, has no limited reliance on borrowing, has generally maintained service levels, maintained our roads and other infrastructure, and will still be able to maintain competitive tax burdens in the future. To manage the 2024 budget shortfall, a modest tax increase will be required. The individual impacts on homeowners will be dependent on their assessed values. The typical household will see an increase of 2.6% or $52 annually. Council and administration will continue to seek measures to manage revenue and expenditures and continue prudent financial practices to plan for the future.
Thank you. All right, any other discussions on this? And the last one was the capital budget that we've gone over before, so we have gone over both the operating, the transfers to reserves, and the capital budget. Just putting it into one place, everybody's okay with that? Councilor Martins.
So this addition here, is this part of the same RFD or is this for something else? The tax rates?
A member of council asked that to be presented and available, but I'll leave it up to that member of council if they wish to speak to it. No, but it wasn't formally part of the RFP.
want to speak on that, or just an addition to some additional information? Just on the, for the people in the gallery, it's just about the tax rates for other communities that have been in 2022 and where we were at with those. It's just some historical data that we have here. I don't know if it's out in the public. Councillor Dinaga?
It was me who had requested to see what our overall tax rate would be with the 2.6%. But they gave us the 2022 tax rates for residential and commercial in relation to some of the neighboring communities, just for information.
Okay.
If I could, through the chair, just to elaborate, and I apologize to the audience, our TV fell off the wall, and we haven't, it will be here for the next meeting, but, current one is, kaput. But, a lot of our neighboring communities have not finalized their budgets, but in the written report, and anyone wants it, it's on our website, or I can email it out to anyone that wishes it. We did canvass and reviewed approximately 30 or 40 municipalities in the province, and 2.6 may sound like a lot, but of the 30 that we reviewed that have adopted their budgets tonight, there's only one municipality out of the 30 roughly, that have a lower tax rate. Most are significantly above. A recent conference, both the Urban Municipalities Conference and the Rural Conference, the general theme there was that the average tax increase for municipalities around the province is hovering between 5 and 6%, predominantly as a result of provincial downloading. Again, we've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars of provincial funding over the last 2 or 3 years. That trend will be positive for next year, but it doesn't recover to the levels that we were being funded over the last 10 years. So we're still, have a revenue issue, but council's done its best to maintain and restrain expenditure levels. Yes, expenditures are up. There's significant more money going into reserves. Residents will see the conditions of some of the roads, some of the sidewalks, investments that are required in other assets around the town. So that is really what's driving the 2.6% increase in property taxes. And again, it's not good news, but council has restrained it, and other communities, given the pressures, have not done so well in terms of their level of restraint. So I'll leave it at that for now.
All right. Any other comments, thoughts on this? Seeing none, we have the motions to all under option 1. All in favor? It is carried. Moving on then to, sorry. Oh, okay. All right, we've had a request to take a 5-minute break, and we'll take a break and resume after that.